Welcome to How We Met. I'm Sheryl Strich, and every month we're going to be meeting with residents from Laguna Woods, couples from Laguna Woods Village, who want to tell their story about how they met. If you'd be interested in coming on our show, email us at lwvcouples@gmail.com and include your email address, your phone number, and a brief description, and send it in to lwvcouples@gmail.com. Today, we're going to be meeting with Ginny and Bernie Frogel. Many of you who belong to the Chicago Club will recognize Bernie from his videos and his flyers. He's the events and travel guy and gives lots of information for members of the Chicago Club. But today, he's meeting with us with his wife, Ginny, to tell how they met. So let's go to Ginny and Bernie. Ginny, we always see Bernie, but we never see you. I mean, his face is all over everything. Brief description, where are you from?
I'm from Wellington, New Zealand.
You're from New Zealand?
Yes.
Bernie, are you from New Zealand?
No, I'm from New York. You can tell from my accent.
You're from New York?
Southern New York. Actually, down south to Tennessee.
I thought you were from Tennessee. So, how did you meet?
Well, I was here visiting my father's family, and
In Tennessee?
yes, and I knew this rabbi, and we were talking. He said, "Oh, I'd like you to meet this young man I know." So he called, I guess, the parents, Bernie's parents, and then Bernie called me and set it up, and we had a date.
Bernie, what's your story?
Oh, I tell everyone, since I have a bit of a sense of humor, that we met over kiwi.com, but that was a blind date, and it was a very interesting date because, unfortunately, that was the day that Kennedy was assassinated, and that's the day we actually met.
Oh my.
So Jenny can tell you what we did that day.
What'd you do that day, Jenny?
Well, I was in a bank getting some money orders changed, and something happened, and everybody was just like crying and screaming and carrying on, and they closed the bank. And so I went outside, and I called Bernie. I had his number, and I called his house, and he said, "No, we'll still get together. But we're going to go to my fraternity house. That's the only thing that'll be open because all the movies, all the restaurants, everything closed."
Oh boy, what a beginning.
Yeah. Auspicious.
How long had you been in Tennessee? I mean, Tennessee from New Zealand
Yes.
is quite a difference.
It was, and I hadn't been there maybe a couple of months. I was a culture shock to everybody, and they were a culture shock to me.
How long have you guys been married?
57 years.
57 years? Did you, how long before you got married? How long did you date?
18 months.
That was more than that. Yes, I guess that's about right.
So I'm not going to ask you how old you were when you met, because everybody can figure that one out.
Right.
But what made you want to leave New Zealand?
Well, I was in med school at a very young age, and I really couldn't buckle down and study. My peers were 3 and 4 years older, and they were up to partying and doing things that I really couldn't do. I couldn't socialize with them. And I needed to get some living out of my system, so my mother decided I should come to America and meet my father's family, who had been wanting to meet me for a long time. And so that's what we did. I came by myself, and it really didn't work out with my father's family because I was a sophisticated young city girl, and they didn't know what to do with me.
Big culture shock.
Yeah.
Big culture
Yeah.
shock. What about you, Bernie? I mean, did you grow up in this area?
I grew up in Chattanooga, and I can actually I'll take your viewers back to the night we actually met, because that's sort of an interesting story, since it did occur on the day our president was assassinated. It was kind of a downer. So when I did talk to Jenny, she told me how to pick her up. So she says, well, I live with this widow lady, and when you come up the steps, don't go to the front door. Go around the side, go down the pathway, and you come in the side door. He said, and watch out for the dog that barks. So I'm thinking, as I come to the house, what am I going to say to this lady? So I walk up to the door, and you got a picture of this.
The back door.
It's dark outside, and I'm looking for this dog to jump out at me at any time. And I get to the door, and I knock 3 times, and she opens the door. What did I say?
You said, what's the password? And I said, Hernando's Hideaway.
That's exactly right. See, and those of you that may remember that song, I actually went online to look up the lyrics, and it's kind of comical, because this is exactly how we met. And if you remember the song at all, it went. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. I added it up and it went away. Okay, yeah, it read, I know a place, a secluded place, a place where no one knows your face. A glass of wine, a fast embrace. It's called Hernando's Hideaway. And then it says, let's see, I had it here. Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Anyway, it says, knock 3 times.
Oh, that's why you knocked 3 times.
Right.
It says, you will be free to gaze at me and talk of love. Just knock 3 times and whisper low that you and I know that you were sent by Joe.
Were you impressed with this?
Then strike and match, and you'll know you're in Hernando's Hideaway. So that's exactly what I said the day we met.
I was impressed with his sense of humor, because to me, a person with a sense of humor, because I have a very dry British sense of humor, and most people don't get my sarcastic remarks.
Oh, I get them.
I don't make them to you, Cheryl.
I always say I have a dark sense of humor, but it makes me smile.
I know. I think your publicity stunts, not stunts, the publicity that you put out with the things that you say are just perfect, really cute. I think your story is great. I don't know if I would have ever been able to come from New Zealand to Tennessee by myself, but now I'm talking like you, Bernie.
Well, I went through school very quickly, and I was a very determined young woman, much more confidence, and which I have lost over the years, I think, when I'm aging. But I enjoyed coming to America, meeting everybody, and they were so welcoming. I guess our relationship was, we actually met through a rabbi, which I mentioned, and we got married in an Orthodox synagogue. Many people don't realize that in an Orthodox wedding, you don't touch.
Oh.
When you dance with the women. I dance with the women, right, and he danced with the men. And then we actually danced together with a handkerchief between us.
I didn't know that about you
Yeah,
guys. How
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then you just stayed in America.
Yeah, we did, but we traveled all over because he finally graduated school. And he
were
became
both-
an engineer, and we left for Seattle, Washington for Boeing aircraft.
You know what? I didn't know this about you, and I have known Bernie and Ginny for quite a while. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on my show on the first edition of How We Met.
Okay, I guess we were your guinea pigs.
You were my guinea pigs. Thank you so much.
It's always nice to relive from 57 years ago and think where we started and where we are now.
Thanks, Sheryl.
We have Carol and Louis Billowitz here. Many of you who are members of the Chicago Club, I guess I have a lot of Chicago Club things doing today, have seen Louis. He's the event chair, and he's the guy who gets the great entertainment at the PAC and at the regular meetings. So let's turn to Louis and Carol.
Hi, Sheryl.
Hi, Carol and Louis. Carol and I are great pickleball players. We've been playing together for, I don't know, 2-3 years. And every Friday morning, there we are. So, Carol, I know where you're from, but why don't you tell everybody, where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Dalton, Georgia. It's about 90 miles north of Atlanta, small town, 30 miles south of Chattanooga, where Bernie Frogel is from. And I lived there till I was 15.
Okay.
When I was 15, my father was transferred to California for a job, and we lived in Arcadia for 5 years.
And Louis?
I'm from a small town in New York that you might have heard of. It's called Spring Valley.
So this is what's so exciting about Louis. We met here. I am also from Spring Valley, and one of the neat things about living in Laguna Woods is that we have a connection. Louis was friends with my sister's high school boyfriend. So there we go. Okay,
I came here after college.
Okay. How did you guys meet?
All right, go ahead, say what you want to say.
We met in a bar.
Stop.
Carol's best friend and my best friend basically tried to set us up. And
Wait. Now, those of you who know UCLA know Ledbetter's.
Wait a minute. Were you at UCLA?
I was at UCLA, and
Okay.
Louis had already finished school, so he was living in Westwood and working. So Ledbetter's was a college bar.
Okay.
And every Wednesday or Thursday night, all the kids would go down. They had a live band, they had foosball, they had drinking. So our friends arranged it that we would meet there. Okay, go ahead.
so I saw this good-looking girl, long blonde hair and really pretty, and I said, I had decided to impress her and ask her out to a Dionne Warwick concert in Orange County the following Saturday, and she accepted. That was going to be our first date. I called her on Wednesday though to confirm.
Had you bought the tickets?
Yes, and I called her on Wednesday to confirm, and now I'll let my wife tell the rest of that story.
Well, I thought he was weird because he had long hair, and I'd never met anybody from New York, being a Southern girl, newly in California. So I broke the date. I didn't think I could find anything to talk to him about all the way in the car and all the way back.
I paid her back and married her, though. I remember we became friends after that because we had the same group of friends, and I lived in Westwood. Once a week, we would have a giant party with hundreds of people, my roommates and I. It was like the spot to go to. And I remember sitting on a chair, and there's Carol sitting on the floor with her long hair flowing and a very lean body and beautiful girl.
What happened?
And I remember, hey, I do the humor, girl. And I remember I said a prayer to God. I said, that's the one I want. I said, I want that girl to be mine. And so I guess our marriage was made in heaven.
So what did you do?
I finally got her to go out with me.
You went out with him?
I did. But he says neither of us asked each other to get married. We just decided to get married. And
Yeah, but let me just say that I partied a lot and dated a lot. And so my roommates, Glenn and Larry, were also her friends. I decided to go back to New York to tell my parents that I was marrying somebody not from the Klan. I was marrying a Gentile. So I went back there, And my roommates decided to take Carol out to dinner. And I wasn't there, so you can tell them.
Well, they took me out to dinner and they told me not to marry Louis, that they didn't think he would be faithful and they didn't think he would be an upstanding guy. To this day, we've been married longer than either of them.
How long?
But I can't get 50 years, I can't get divorced because one of them would say, I told you so.
Right.
That's one of the 2 reasons we stay married. The other one, of course, we go to LA and I need her for the carpool lane. So.
But I drive,
Oh, yeah.
and you got me a
She needs me
chauffeur
for the
cab.
carpool lane.
Yeah.
All right. So what else did you do? I mean, at that point, how long did you date before you got married?
Oh, I don't remember.
A year, maybe.
At least a year. At
So-
least a year.
But we were all good friends. We had a group of couples, and they all, the same year, basically decided to get married. So we either were going to break up or get married, and we got married.
So as you said, Carol was not part of the clan. How were your parents? Did your parents accept that?
Well, my parents weren't very Jewish. They didn't go to temple. And if it was a wedding or something or a bar mitzvah, they would go. However, my father didn't talk to me for 2 days.
Oh, he didn't talk to you
No.
for 2 days?
And then later on, she's the one they loved the most. I mean, we would meet him at the airport, and they'd
Well,
run over
that's
and give.
because I had 2 grandchildren
Yeah,
for
they'd
him.
run over and give her a hug, and I'd be standing there and going, "I'm the son."
So, and Carol, Louis wasn't part of your clan.
No, my father was much more worldly than my mother.
Tell them about your mother's.
No, that's not nice. My mother was from the South and raised very conservatively. Let's just say
Read between the lines.
she wasn't accepting of all different kinds of people. And they lived in Georgia at the time because they had been transferred back. We got married out here. So I didn't want to get married in a temple, and Louis didn't want to get married in a church. So we explored all these things, and we finally got married on the Princess Louise down in the Long Beach Harbor.
Ooh,
And not long after we got married, the boat sunk.
the boat sunk?
And that was the end of it.
That was the end of it.
I can't remember. Did you have 2 other weddings, or that was it?
Oh,
My mother,
insisted.
well, here's what happened. We went to the rabbi, because we were going to have a rabbi and a minister who was the chaplain on the boat. And the rabbi showed us the service, and the minister was only going to do 1 little paragraph. And we said, well, this is not what we want. And the rabbi said, well, I guess I have you over a barrel. And so we fired the rabbi. And so we only had a minister do the service, and my mother was not overjoyed. So she said, look, we're going to have a reception in New York for our friends and relatives. Can we say a little prayer for you? Can we have a rabbi? So we said yes, and we went back there. And then we went in the back room for the little prayer. And 45 minutes later, we came out after having done a full wedding service, and stepped on the glass and did the whole thing. She got me. My mother was like Costanza's mother in Seinfeld.
And every time we'd bring it up later, she'd go, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But
But the
it
great
was
thing is that I always like to say humorously that ever since my dog died, she's become my best friend. But actually, we have now become best friends. Some people, when they're empty nesters, they go this way.
Right.
We went the other way, and now we're extremely close. When we first moved here 8 years ago, we tried to do everything. We were home 1 or 2 nights a week, and now we sort of reverse that, and we still do a lot, but we're home a fair amount of nights, and it's just enjoyable to be with her and sit there and watch Netflix. Just the 2 of us together.
It's kind of like we're dating again.
I'm really lucky to have this one.
Oh, that's very
that's
nice.
really sweet. That's
Well,
really
she gave me $5 earlier to say that.
She gave you $5 to say that. Anyway, 2 kids. How many grandkids later?
We have 4 grandkids. We finally got a girl. The youngest one is a girl, and so we have 3 boys and a girl. And
We had 2 sons.
2 sons.
And the first 3 grandchildren were boys, so I felt that's all I could breed.
And
But then out popped the little girl.
So 2 sons, 4 grandchildren later. You are very happy, and I'm very happy to
Incredibly
be
happy.
playing pickleball with you on Fridays, Carol.
Yeah. Oh, and we also play mahjong.
And we play mahjong on Friday. Friday's a killer day.
Yes.
And anyway, thank you.
I was always an athlete in my life, but I don't do any of those things. But I'm really good at Netflix and finding the movies. So
Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you guys for coming on the show.
been a
I'm
pleasure.
really happy to have you here. It's been great.
Thanks
Thank
for
you, Cheryl.
asking us.